So this video will show you a little bit about dimensioning to get your room section view dimensioned the way you need to for this assignment. So here's the assignment, and you can see my drawing file here. So this is going to be your end goal, and actually turning this in as a PDF to this assignment. All right, so we'll break it down a little bit more in a sec. But I'm going to pull up the dimensioning, what they'd call criterion of this rubric. All right, and we're going to kind of go through and make sure we hit all these things here. Okay, so drawing is as fully dimensioned as specified in videos. All right, 3 overall dimensions: width, height, and depth are like dimensioned. Everything in section view, the location and sizing dimensions, greater than 10 inches. All right, so all of those things need to be dimensioned. All arcs/circles marked with center marks and center lines and dimensioned, except the bed legs. Dimensions follow the conventions as much as possible. For example, not parked on top of the object, and are neat and easy to read. All right, and then you can get 25, a 22, 19, or a 12 here, depending on how well you do. So yeah, let's look at this a little further here. So if you need some like memory jog on what dimensioning is and how we do it, we covered that in activity 124. All right, so looking through the modules, here's starting at the top. It's going to be down here, and it's going to be this weeks 5 through 7, lesson 1.2 module. All right, so activity 124. And that's open right here. The link in this assignment should actually take you there anyway, but this is where we went through how to dimension. All right, and so of course, if I'm not zoomed in all the way, it makes it a little easier to see. But yeah, you'll want to review this if you've forgotten some of the rules of dimensioning. This was one way we did it that a lot of people like, this flow chart, and you can actually run through it, and it kind of walks you through how you dimension everything. But there's also a guidelines like document you can check out too that I kind of like. That's the way we used to teach this. All right, so let's look at the actual drawing file and see what I did. At this point, you should have placed all your views. All right, and you want to make sure that they are like shaded if they need to be, showing hidden lines if they need to be, like these two, and then no hidden lines over here. So the kind of visual styles are correct. I want to make sure you got your title block correct. But let's actually get into the dimensioning. So first thing I need to see is 3 overall dimensions. All right, so the depth, which I have right here on my top view, it's 200 inches. The width, which I have on my front view, it's 200 inches. And the height, all right, also on the front view, 100 inches. So you absolutely need all 3 of those. From there, you're actually not going to do any more dimensioning on these views. The rest of the dimensioning you'll do on your section view, okay? And you'll remember, I said 10 inches or larger. Those are the things that need to be dimensioned, okay? So let's look at this section view and see what I've dimensioned here. So one thing looking at the section view is you can see the section lines. Those are these little slanted lines. That indicates that when we cut for this section along this line AA, like it says, that is where we actually are cutting through material, and we'd be like looking directly at material. So for the way I've cut this, it's only showing those on the wall and floor. If I happen to cut through what I call my pet tower here, some of this actually would show these little slanted lines. All right. So more in depth here. Let's start with our dimensions moving up. So you'll see I did not dimension the floor, how thick that is, or how thick the wall is, or the window muntin. All right, the muntin is this little part right here, right? That's because you'll need a note. All right, and to create a note, you'll just click this little text box, place your corners of the note, and then you're using a font, I think between 0.14 and 0.2, I believe was the specification. You'll have to check the rubric. And you're going to have 2 notes on there, all dimensions in inches. All right, so you're sharing the units. And thickness of floor, walls, and window muntins, 1 inch. All right, so they've got that information that way. Okay. So from the floor, I've done what is called chain dimensioning. All right, so chain dimensioning means you go from one thing to the next, all right, as you dimension. Datum, which I'm not going to ask you to do, and I think would be a little messier, you're referring everything back to a single point, like a starting point. So instead of saying that this is 50 inches from the base of the window to the top of the window, we would say, well, actually, it is maybe because we've already got the bottom of the window at 29 inches. We'd say the top of the window is 50 plus the 1 inch there plus 29. So this would be 80 inches. And it would have a line coming all the way down here showing 80. So you're going to do chain dimensioning like this, all right, showing the height between, your major objects. So we would call this a location dimension, all right, because it shows how far up the window starts from the floor, and it's 29 inches. All right, if you're trying to remember how to do the dimensions, you will click this thing right here, all right, this tool, and then you will click the lines or edges that you want to dimension. All right, so you can see as you hover over things, it will give you suggestions on what you might want to dimension. To get this height here, what I had to do was click the floor. All right, so even though it says 200, if I click that, I can use it to make a different dimension, like this vertical dimension. All right, and then I would click like there. All right, so that's how I got that dimension. All right, so I'm going to say cancel on that because I already have that dimension. Right. You'll see these are bigger than 10 inches, right? The panes of glass. So I dimensioned those. All right, 23.5, 23.5. All right. So that basically takes us for all our vertical dimensions. Next, we'll look at our horizontal dimensions. Okay. And I kind of started from both ends here, which for what I'm doing, that's fine. What you're doing, that'll be fine. Do take a note that all arcs and circles that I have visible that are square on, all right? So these circles are not square on, right, because they're at an angle. So all the ones that are square on have a center mark in them. All right, to place center marks, you use this tool right here. All right, and so once you click that, you can put center marks through those spaces. I did put a center line, however, so using this tool right here, through the base of my pet tower because I know this thing is a cylinder, right? If we look back at like this view at the top, you can see the base of it is a cylinder. So it's round, so it needs a center line when it's shown from the side, all right? If the lamp was in view, I would also have center lines going up through that, including the lamp shade, so base and the lamp shade of the lamp. From the left side, I show that the dimension to the very end of the wall to the center line of this is 21 inches. All right, that's more than 10 inches, so I have dimensioned it. All right, again, use this tool, dimension, and you'll click the lines that you would want to dimension from. All right, you may need to zoom in to make sure you're not picking one side over the other. All right, so you click the one. In this case, I clicked the other, and then I got that dimension. All right, let me click cancel because I've already got that. As you go to create your dimensions, you will want to make sure that they are off the object, right? That's one of the rules. And in general, if you can keep extension lines like this, if you can keep them off the object, that's the best. So the reason I have this one on here is I wanted to keep consistently everything on the top side, right? You want to put dimensions in between views. That's one of our conventions, instead of on the outside. And so I just wanted them all on the same side to preserve that consistency, make sure it looks nice and neat. All right, so we've got that dimension. I've got the size of this pet tower here. I show how big it is across from side to side, at least at this angle. Then I have another dimension here showing the distance from the edge of this pet tower to the bed. All right, so this is, again, that chain dimensioning. We're going from item to item to item, rather than datum, which would show everything going back to the very edge of the wall. All right, so from that point, those are my only dimensions that are bigger than 10 inches for these things. I'm telling you not to worry about the bed leg. It's too small, don't dimension it, even with its arcs and stuff. There would be 3 very crammed center marks for the 3 arcs that are in here. For the rest of the window, I actually, to try to keep some neatness and order, I dimensioned it from this wall. All right, so I show, all right, it's 80 inches from this edge right here to the edge of the wall. Okay, and then you can see nice and neatly lined up. So that's the kind of neatness I'm looking for these things. I've got the width of the window. 40 inches, and then I show the panes of glass. All right, they are both 18.5 inches across. Okay, so this is really the level of dimensioning you will need. All right, and I think that's about all you need to know. Let me think a little further so we kind of look at this. So yeah, if you have little pencils and stuff, you definitely want them to show up, but if they're less than 10 inches, they will not need to be dimensioned. All right. Same with books. Now, yeah, with books, I don't know how big those were. If in one direction they're less than 10 inches, don't worry about it. But if the direction it's showing, it actually is bigger than 10 inches, maybe that's top to bottom, yeah, please dimension those. All right. Hopefully this answers your questions. Remember to use this tool and try to get your things lined up correctly and nice and neat. Notice the nesting I did here. So this is further away than these two so that those lines wouldn't overlap. You can imagine how messy this would be if I put this over here and put these past it. All right, so you want to nest things correctly. All right. Let's see, anything else you need to know? Don't forget about your notes you need to have. Remember, this should only have visible lines, no hidden lines. This should have hidden and visible lines. All right, and then this should be a shaded view, and it's 1/100th scale as opposed to 1/50th scale. All right, have fun with this. When you're all done, you'll click this PDF output. All right, and it'll give you some choices. You just leave them as they are, unless if you want it to open the PDF to show you as soon as it opens, that's fine. But you'll click OK. And then you'll tell it what folder you want it to save to. I would recommend saving it to our class folder, IED. And from there, you will be able to easily turn this in on the assignment on Canvas, all right, by finding it. And in the student view, oh, that's cool, it lets us do that here. You can click Submit Assignment, and you'll find your file wherever you saved it, okay? So hopefully that's pretty easy for you, not too bad. All right, happy dimensioning. Let me know what questions you might have. Oh, one more thing. While I'm thinking of it, don't forget to dimension the radii of any arcs that are in view and the diameters of any circles that are in view, we'll say that are greater than 1 inch, whether it's a radius or a diameter. Thanks.